Hi viewers, hope you are fine. I still remember the sound of the wedding orchestra echoing through the ballroom when my entire world shattered. The chandeliers above me glittered like stars. White roses covered every table. Guests in expensive dresses laughed softly while waiters carried silver trays across the room. And standing at the center of it all was my father. Smiling, happy, like the last 5 years of my pain had never happened. I stood near the entrance, holding the small velvet gift box I had spent weeks preparing for him. Inside was my mother's old watch, the one she wore every single day before cancer stole her from me. My dad used to say that watch was his favorite thing about her. I thought maybe, just maybe, giving it back to him on his wedding day would remind him that I still existed too. But I was wrong, very wrong. The moment my stepmother Vanessa noticed me standing near the doorway, her entire face changed. That fake smile disappeared instantly. She walked toward me slowly, her white designer gown brushing across the marble floor. "You actually came?" she whispered coldly. I forced a small smile. "Dad invited me." Her eyes narrowed. "No," she said quietly. "He felt guilty." "That's different." Her words hit harder than I expected. I looked past her toward my father. He was talking to investors near the stage, laughing loudly like he didn't have a daughter standing 10 feet away. A daughter he barely called anymore. A daughter he slowly abandoned after Vanessa entered his life. Still, I stayed calm. "I'm not here to cause problems," I told her softly. "I just wanted to congratulate him." But Vanessa leaned closer. "You embarrass this family," she whispered. "Look at you." I looked down at my simple navy blue dress and suddenly felt small. Ashamed. Broken. Most guests wore luxury brands and diamonds. I had spent my savings just to travel there after being ignored for months. Then she smiled. Not kindly. Cruelly. "You should leave before people start asking questions." I swallowed the lump in my throat. But before I could respond, 2 security guards suddenly approached us. And that's when I realized. She had planned this. Vanessa folded her arms dramatically. "This woman is not welcome here." The guards looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am," one of them said carefully, "we'll need you to step outside." I stared at my father across the ballroom, praying he would turn around, praying he would see me, praying he would stop this humiliation before it destroyed me completely. But he never looked, not once. Tears burned my eyes as guests began whispering around us. "Oh my God, is that his daughter? Why are they removing her? How embarrassing." I felt like I couldn't breathe. So I handed the velvet box to the nearest guard. "Give this to my father," I whispered. Then I walked out of the ballroom alone while the wedding music continued behind me. Like I had never mattered at all. But what I didn't know that night was that only 3 hours later, my phone would light up with 68 missed calls. And suddenly, the same family that threw me away would desperately need me back. Mid-conflict and betrayal, I sat alone in my tiny apartment that night, still wearing the same dress. Mascara stains covered my cheeks. I kept replaying the humiliation over and over in my head. The whispers, the stares, my father's silence. That part hurt the most. Not Vanessa, not security, him. Because deep down, I think every daughter believes her father will protect her eventually. Even after disappointment, even after distance, even after years of emotional neglect. But mine didn't. Around midnight, my phone suddenly started vibrating across the kitchen counter. Unknown number. I ignored it. Then another call came. And another. And another. When I finally looked at the screen, my stomach tightened. 68 missed calls. Most were from my father. Others were from family members who hadn't spoken to me in years. Then a voicemail notification appeared. I pressed play carefully. A calm older man spoke. "Miss Carter, this is Daniel Reeves, your father's attorney. Please contact me immediately. This matter is extremely urgent." My chest tightened. I called back instantly. The lawyer answered within seconds. "Thank God," he breathed. "I've been trying to reach you." "What's happening?" I asked nervously. There was a pause. Then he said something that changed everything. "Your father suffered a serious cardiac episode shortly after the wedding." My body froze. "He collapsed after opening the gift box you left." I couldn't speak. "He's stable now," the lawyer continued gently. "But before surgery, he requested an emergency review of his estate." I leaned against the wall, trembling. And then came the real shock. Your father recently discovered financial fraud involving Vanessa. Silence. Cold silence. She transferred millions from company accounts into private overseas investments, he explained. Your father only learned the truth tonight. I closed my eyes. Suddenly everything made sense. The isolation, the manipulation, the way Vanessa slowly separated me from him over the years. She hadn't just wanted control of his heart. She wanted everything. The lawyer continued carefully. There's more. Your father changed his will tonight. My breath caught. He transferred majority ownership of the company and family estate to you. I nearly dropped the phone. He said you were the only person who never wanted anything from him except love. At that moment, I broke down crying. Not because of the money, but because after years of feeling invisible, my father had finally seen me. The next morning, my relatives suddenly flooded my messages with fake concern. Sweetheart, how are you holding up? Family should stay together. We always loved you. The same people who watched security remove me hours earlier. Now they needed me, because Vanessa's accounts had been frozen. Reporters were already circling the scandal, and the company board wanted answers. But the hardest moment came 2 days later when I walked into the hospital room. My father looked weak, smaller somehow. The machines beside him beeped softly while sunlight poured through the windows. When he saw me, tears filled his eyes instantly. I failed you, he whispered. And hearing those words destroyed me more than the betrayal ever had. Because all I ever wanted was my father back. Not revenge, not wealth, just him. But Vanessa wasn't finished yet. Not even close. Because while the family tried repairing their image, she was secretly planning one final betrayal. One that could destroy all of us forever. Ending, revenge, climax and moral. 3 weeks later, the company board organized an emergency press conference. Vanessa believed she could still save herself. She arrived wearing black sunglasses and expensive jewelry, pretending to be the grieving loyal wife. But she underestimated something important. For years, I stayed quiet because I thought silence kept peace. But pain changes people, especially when they finally stop being afraid. Before the conference began, Daniel handed me a folder thick with evidence. Bank transfers, secret contracts, recorded phone calls, even messages proving Vanessa planned to isolate my father long before the wedding. She underestimated how much your father trusted his legal team, Daniel said calmly. When Vanessa walked into the conference room and saw me sitting beside the board members, her confidence disappeared instantly. What is she doing here? She snapped. I looked directly at her. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid. The chairman cleared his throat. Mrs. Carter, evidence has confirmed severe financial misconduct. Vanessa laughed nervously. This is ridiculous. Then Daniel placed the evidence on the table, one document at a time. I watched the color slowly drain from her face. You manipulated company funds, he continued. You attempted illegal asset transfers. And you deliberately interfered with family communications for personal financial gain. The room fell silent. Reporters outside waited desperately for answers. Vanessa turned toward me with fury burning in her eyes. You did this. I stood slowly. No, I said quietly. You did. For once, she had nothing to say. No manipulation. No fake tears. No power. Only exposure. Within days, the board removed her completely from the company. Investigations began immediately. Most of her luxury accounts were frozen. And the same social circles that once worshipped her suddenly disappeared overnight. But strangely, watching her lose everything didn't make me feel victorious. It made me feel tired. Because revenge doesn't heal betrayal the way people imagine. It simply closes the wound enough for peace to finally begin. A month later, my father invited me to visit his house again. Not the mansion Vanessa redesigned, but my childhood lake house. The place where my mother used to sit on the porch drinking tea at sunrise. We spent hours there talking honestly for the first time in years. No assistants, no lawyers, no manipulation, just father and daughter. Before I left that evening, he handed me my mother's watch. The same one I brought to the wedding. I think she would have wanted you to have it, he whispered. I held it tightly while tears filled my eyes again. Because after everything, the humiliation, The betrayal, the loneliness. I finally understood something important. Sometimes people don't realize your value until they almost lose you forever. And sometimes the greatest revenge is surviving the heartbreak they thought would destroy you.